Today we'll be looking at Extra Lily, one of the reasons why Genbu, or Trick Room, is so terrifying in TPDP. From a glance, you would expect the tiny spring fairy with such a low BST to be on the more supportive side, or to rely on some sort of obtuse gimmick, but Extra Lily instead has stats so min-maxed it would make some Gen 9 ones blush. She has a staggering 145 focus attack, good bulk at a spread of 95, 80 and 105, and has incredibly low spread attack and speed, with her speed in particular being the lowest in the game at base 10. This ties her with two other puppets, one of which is a Blissey clone, and the other being a Shockle clone. While being this slow would be a detriment to most puppets, it's a major strength for E-Lily, as it makes her the slowest Genbu abuser in the game, letting her underspeed basically every other puppet there is. Even with the existence of Iron Clogs, which can halve a puppet's speed, only the base 20 speed puppets can underspeed her with it equipped. This helps E-Lily act as a reliable Genbu abuser, or as counterplay to other Genbu teams, because she'll almost always be the slowest. Of course, just being slow won't be good enough, especially if you can't find a turn to set up Genbu, or if you end up wasting turns trying to break through something, and this is where the other factors come into play and make E-Lily as great as she is. E-Lily, on top of her reasonable bulk, also gets the amazing ability Glamorous, which reduces the damage taken by super effective hits, in the same way that Solid Rock and Prism Armor do. This ability is excellent in ensuring E-Lily will get a turn to freely set up Genbu, even if the opponent is packing super effective coverage. Not only that, it pairs exceptionally well with Rebellion Tome, which grants a free +2 boost to both attacking stats when your puppet is hit super effectively, same as weakness policy. Proccing Rebellion Tome as E-Lily sets up Genbu can spell certain doom for most teams, as they see her roll over their team with ease. Her bulk is also deceptively good, as you won't be running any speed investment. You can instead put that into HP, to allow E-Lily to take even more hits. On a sort of side note, E-Lily's typing means she's weak to wind and electric, which just so happen to have two of the most common attacking utility moves: Lightning Speed, which is basically Volt Switch, and Smash Spin, a wind type 60 base power move that clears hazards. On a correct prediction, these moves can work as essentially free Rebellion Tome procs, or can dissuade hazard removal via the threat of an E-Lily sweep. Running Rebellion Tome also means other, more general items are freed up for the rest of your team to use, due to item clause. Sound/Dark isn't a particularly great defensive typing. Not that E-Lily minds too much, but in terms of offense, it is excellent. Perhaps one of the best offensive typings in the game, with excellent stab skills and very little that can wall it. Dark type by itself is already one of the best defensive typings in the game, having access to Panic Call, which is knockoff, and Changeling, which is essentially Dark type U-turn. Meanwhile, Sound can hit the fighting and illusion types that Dark struggles to hit. Access to such powerful changelings lets E-Lily act as a decent pivot as well, and can let you bring in other Genbu abusers if you wish to. It is important to note that Changeling doesn't have great synergy with Rebellion Tome, as it means you lose your boost upon switching, but if you have +2, you're probably already tearing their team apart with Panic Call and your Sound Stab. Extra Lily is one of the few puppets where running coverage isn't really necessary. The utility and power provided by her two dark stabs are far too good to pass up, and Sound is such a good complementary type, you'd never really want to run another type. Your final slot should be Genbu, so many, although not all, sets simply don't bother with coverage. Extra Lily does get Smooth Sailing as a secondary ability, which gives her a nice wind immunity, and a +1 speed if hit by a wind attack. On any other wind weak puppet, this would be an amazing ability, but considering E-Lily is a Genbu sweeper, who abuses Rebellion Tome by tanking super effective hits, yeah, it's rarely used on her. Not unusable, mind you, just not really what most teams would want. Extra Lily also isn't invincible. While Glamorous is excellent, Most strong, stab, super effective attacks can still 2-hit KO her, which means she can have trouble switching in unless Genbu is already up. Most players would likely be aware of the Rebellion Tome that E-Lily is running and play around that, making it more difficult to get that +2 boost and rip through teams. E-Lily also hates Aurora, especially the weakened dark attacks and the boosted light attacks. For those who don't know, Aurora is a weather in TPDP, which works like sun but boosts light attacks and weakens dark attacks instead of fire and water. Extra Lily does enjoy its counterpart, Fog, which boosts dark and weakens light, but it can also be hard to set up both Fog and Genbu. Extra Lily also dislikes puppets with dark immunity abilities, which a few particularly powerful puppets happen to have. When team building with E-Lily, you generally want to pair her with some bulky, spread attackers, who can both take advantage of E-Lily's Genbu, as well as hit the focus walls that E-Lily struggles to break through. Extra Lily also benefits from good light resists. Light as a type is fairly uncommon as coverage, so if E-Lily is at risk of a light skill, it will probably be Stab, which you don't really want to be taking as E-Lily. For that reason, Extra Bakasaki actually makes a pretty good partner to E-Lily, as it's quad resistant to light, and it also enjoys the benefits of Genbu. I'd also recommend pairing E-Lily with some hazard stacking teammates, as E-Lily enjoys the extra trip, letting her break through more puppets. Extra Lily is also able to greatly punish Smash Spin while running Rebellion Tome. An important thing to note about Tippy is that there is no spin blocking. Smash Spin, when clicked, will always clear hazards upon use, even if the opponent is immune to wind. This means that hazards are much easier to remove in Tippy. However, a Rebellion Tome E-Lily can take advantage of the weak smash spins flying about, and potentially threaten sweeps if they spin too carelessly. Therefore, simply having E-Lily on your team can act as a pseudo spin blocker via deterrence alone. Overall, Extra Lily is a very strong Genbu abuser. While not quite as absurd as Extra Wakasaki, which you can learn more about here, she's still an exceptional puppet with solid place in the Tippy metagame, or what little metagame there is. In some ways, she feels a bit like Rhyperia with access to Trick Room, with a similar ability and attacking stat. Of course, E-Lily has more evenly distributed bulk and a lower BST, but they still feel a little similar. She can also be compared to Ursaluna somewhat, being near unstoppable Trick Room threats in the right conditions. Although this comparison is far more loose and flawed. Still, Extra Lily is a strong puppet who can prove Trick Room's viability in a singles format, even with some popular counters. Until next time, bye bye.